What does manual mode mean? And do I have to learn how to use it? Open brackets, yes I do, close brackets. Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. Another video about manual mode. I'm getting stuck into manual mode now, which is good stuff and I'm enjoying doing it. There's lots of opinions on manual mode, but in this post on my blog, I give you the sensible answer to the question, do I have to learn it? But I'll start with telling you what it is. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm McEvoy. I'm a photographer, blogger and creator and all things at the Photography Explained podcast. So a very warm welcome to my YouTube channel. If you want to read the blog post in full, rickmcevoyphotography.com. It's in there somewhere. It's the first blog post if you're going onto my website now, excuse my stuttering. So let's give you some of the highlights, including my answery bit, as I like to call it. What is manual mode? Manual mode is the mode where you set the aperture, shutter and ISO when you take a photo. You decide all the camera settings, not the camera. Should you learn how to use it? Well, you should learn how to use manual mode, as there are times when you will need it, and understanding manual mode helps you learn the exposure triangle. If you don't want to learn manual mode, that's fine. If you don't want to progress with your photography and develop your photography, just enjoy going out taking photos, absolutely fine, nothing wrong with that. Nobody should ever criticize you for it. And if someone tells you that you have to be, I should know this one by now, shouldn't I? If someone tells you that to be a real photographer, you have to take photos in manual mode, they're wrong. Send them my way if you want to, and I'll point out the error of their ways. Manual mode is just a tool in the camera to help us take photos. Okay, so you should learn how to use it, but you don't have to use it all the time. That's the important thing. Learn how to use it. I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But first, where did this question come from? Well, last week on my YouTube channel, I did, well, it was more of a sales pitch really for my weekly email subscription. Subscribe to get a weekly email and you get stuff like this sent straight to your inbox, which is nice. They're not too long, they're not too dull, and they're hopefully informative and useful. But last week I saw something which annoyed me. Somebody saying pretty much, you're not a real photographer if you don't shoot in manual, and I hate that. So why? Well, I don't use manual mode. If you want to use manual mode, great. If you don't, great. That simple. So yes, there is still an amount of disinformation, I like to call it, about this. Check out my photography snobbery page. Just go to rickmcevoyphotography.com, put photography snobbery in the search thingy, and you'll find a page where I just dropped my remote control there, where I talk about this a little bit more, because there's a few things that people have said that have annoyed me recently. Well, not recently, over the years. Okay, so if you're not going to use manual mode, what do you do? Well, there's aperture priority mode, AV. You set the aperture, the camera sets the shutter speed. Shutter priority mode, or TV for time value. I know. You set the shutter speed, the camera sets the aperture to give you the correct exposure. Now these are both for preset ISOs, that's the sensitivity of the camera sensor to light. So these are options. You've also got a thing called program where it sets both for you. And then there's fully automatic modes where you got even less control. Now, use the mode that works for you to help you get the photos you want to get. If program mode is the one for you, fine. But if you're going to use program mode, fiddle around with the dial on the back of your camera, because you can change the settings. You can change the aperture and shutter combination. You get the same exposure, but you get different effects. Have a play around, see what happens. I use AV mode. I set the aperture. I've got my ISO at 100 normally. I set the aperture, the camera does the shutter speed. I don't care about shutter speed really, because I'm photographing buildings. They're not moving and my camera's on a tripod, so I don't need to worry about camera shake. So that's what works for me. So if you have to use manual mode to be a real photographer, then I'm not a real photographer. And I can live with that, because I don't agree or care what other people say or think. I think it's an age thing, that. you get to a point where you don't really give a stuff what other people say about you. So nice place to be, really. So there you have it. That's it in a as I say far too often these days, that is it in a nutshell. So if you've liked this video, why not subscribe to my YouTube channel? I get a video knocked out every week. I try to do it the same day as a blog post, but sometimes that doesn't happen. And also check out Photography Explained podcast, my splendid audio offering, which gives you an episode which is, well, it's meant to be less than 10 minutes, but it's normally more than 10 minutes, which is, I guess, a bit of British irony. Available on all good podcast providers. Photographypodcast.com is the website. And it has its own YouTube channel called Photography Explained Podcast, which is an interesting thing, isn't it? A YouTube channel for a podcast. Anyway, that's enough for this week. Thanks for watching. You've got all those things you can do. Subscribe to get an email every week from me. Must be a nice thing. I wish I got, well, actually, I get two because I've subscribed twice just to make sure it works. Thanks for watching. I'm waffling now, aren't I? Thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers from me, Rick.